2 home runs for the Emerson College Polling Society last week. Relevant analogy on the eve of the baseball playoffs. First, in the United States, Alabama special election Republican primary, where the Emerson poll had Judge Roy Moore ahead of Senator Luther Strange by 10 points. Sure enough, this past Tuesday, Moore 55, Strange 45. Also back on the 26th, on the local scene, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh came away with a 33-point victory this past Tuesday after a 31-point victory projection by ECPS back on the September 18th edition of the Emerson College Polling Weekly podcast. 35 days from Election Tuesday, we're not speaking French, by the way, Larry H. Russell of CLNS Media and Professor Spencer Kimball of Emerson College, along with everyone listening, we now turn our attention these next 2 weeks to the gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia, working our way down I-95, so batting leadoff will be New Jersey. Let's keep these baseball analogies going. Time to bring in the ace of our staff, Professor Spencer Kimball. What are the results from your latest poll in New Jersey, Spence?
Well, Larry, thanks again for having me. And as we take a look at New Jersey, it's a very interesting state. Obviously, the Republicans have issues in the state with Governor Christie, with an abysmal 22% favorable rating. But the Democrats have trouble in the state, too, with U.S. Senator Robert Menendez currently on trial for corruption charges. So both party brands are having a problem, and I think it's resonating with the gubernatorial candidates. In this election, we have Democrat Phil Murphy. He's a Goldman Sachs exec, deep pockets, who's been involved in politics for a good 10 years, ever since the Howard Dean days. And he's actually a local boy from Boston. He's from Needham and Newton. But he's running this race kind of above the fray, hoping that Christie's low favorabilities will transfer themselves to his lieutenant governor candidate, Kim Guadagno. And if that is able to happen, Murphy thinks that he has a good chance of winning. On the flip side, the lieutenant governor who I just mentioned, Kim Guadagno, she's trying to run a Republican-style campaign, getting the male vote and hoping that as a female, she will do better amongst female voters. What we see right now in the race is a closer than expected race. We have Murphy up by 11 points, 46 to 35, with about 12% undecided.
Good insight there. I do want to do our listeners a service and tell them of the concrete data from your findings at EmersonCollegePollingSociety.com. Got you here right now, though. Is there anything else you found that you would like to share?
Well, in this race, we asked a lot about Senator Bob Menendez. As I mentioned, he's on trial for corruption charges, and either he will be acquitted or convicted. We asked voters what he should do either way. Obviously, if convicted, he will be forced to resign. But even if he is acquitted, the majority of voters want him to retire. In fact, 53% of Democrats said it was time for him to retire if acquitted. So we'll be taking a look at this race again in about 4 weeks. We'll see if there's any movement in the field, especially as voters continue to tune in. And particularly, we're going to look into the central area of New Jersey. Murphy is very strong up in the northern and southern parts, but it's that central area where it looks like Guadagno has a chance to really make some headway and potentially move the needle in her direction.
Thank Emerson College's Professor Spencer Kimball for providing such imperative information to our public. And for the latest in full details, follow Emerson Polling on Twitter at Emerson Polling. As stated, next week's ECPS latest poll will delve into the governor's race down in Virginia. So, to get immediate access to its release, subscribe to Emerson College Polling Weekly on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media Network mobile app.